Hello, all. My name is Kevin Hood, and I am a senior solution engineer here at DreamFactory. Today, we're going to talk about the data mesh capabilities built right into DreamFactory. So, after we create a database API, in this case, I created a MySQL database API, we can then have DreamFactory, or I should say, DreamFactory will automatically inspect that database so that we can access everything about it, including, in this case, the schema. And so if we come down here into the user interface, we see we have a schema of the exact same MySQL database service we just created. And if we click on that, we can see all the different tables that are located in here, as well as maybe jumping right into a specific table, which will have the fields along with their data types and any constraints that are in place, along with automatically generated relationships between the primary and foreign keys. Now, what I want to do is pull in um, title information. But before I do that, let's go ahead and go over to my Bruno, which is like Postman, and you can see I have pulled in the employees table. Now, the employees table on its own only gives me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fields and really nothing about the job title. And if I rerun that, you can see, sure enough, we don't have any job title information. So how do I quickly merge my employees table with my job title information? So we can easily do that just by coming back here to the schema interface within DreamFactory. And if I go down to titles, you can see that automatically DreamFactory has generated that relationship. In this case, it's generated that it is a one-to-many or a many-to-many relationship. We're joining the employees table by the employee number field to the titles table from, again, our MySQL demo database service. And we're joining on the employee number field. And so if we want to merge the titles information with the employees table, all I need to do is click on Always Fetch. And what that is really saying is when we go ahead and run that API endpoint in Bruno, we'll now get the title job information pulled in. So let's go back to Bruno. Let's go ahead and run. Whoops, forgot to hit the update button. There we go. Well, let's go back to Bruno. Let's try that again. And so there you see it. We have the employee information along with now the job title information. So just like that, in maybe a couple minutes, you've merged these tables. And you can merge more than one table with whatever the primary foreign key relationships are that were automatically inspected by DreamFactory. And you can add your own relationships if you want to. Now, let's say we want to grab data from MySQL sales table. And in that MySQL sales table, you can see we have the customer ID and what they purchased, but I don't have any information beyond the customer ID. So I really want to learn more about the customer. And let's just say that that customer information is in a completely different database. And in this case, SQL Server. And so you can see that we have the customer ID along with the customer name and really any other attribute for that customer. So how do I pull in data that's now across two different databases? Well, again, that's back in the DreamFactory schema interface. And it's done really easily. So let's come back to MySQL demo. Let's find that sales table. And here you go. Here's our sales table. Again, DreamFactory's expected all that for us. So I've got my data types, I got my fields, any type of joins. And in this case, no natural relationships were generated. I'm going to create my own relationship just by clicking on the plus sign here. And we'll call this just customer data. Okay. And we're going to give it an alias. And this alias is a great way for letting you know that when you're grabbing data from a different table, and you run a query against it, you can tell that that data is coming from a different table. And I'll show you that in a second. So it's a really great attribute. So let's just call this SQL um, server customer info. Okay. Then we want to choose the type of relationship. In this case, it's a one-to-one. We want to choose the field from the sales table that we're going to join on, in this case, ID. We want to go ahead and get that SQL Server database service, which is right here. We want to pull the table from that SQL Server that we're going to go after. In this case, it's sales customers. So we're going to come down here, choose sales customers. And now what we want to do is choose the relationship. And in this case, the relationship from sales customers to join on my ID field back to sales is customer ID. So now we have that all set up. Oh, last thing we want to do is make sure we click on Always Fetch so that we initiate that. Click Save. And now let's come back to Bruno. We'll go back to MySQL sales table. Again, you can see we don't have any of that customer attribute data. And we'll run Bruno again. And just like that, you can see the customer sales data at the top here. And then notice there's that alias we put in. So it's a great way for me to navigate this information, right? I know that any field below this belongs to the SQL Server table. And in this case, we've got all our customer attribute information in it. So there you go, folks. In just a few minutes, we were able to merge two tables together, and we were able to join data across different databases, in this case, SQL Server and MySQL, using virtual joins built right into DreamFactory. So all our data mesh capabilities are available to you right out of the box. There's also other ways we can go about merging tables via scripting. You can use some through some of the parameters in our API docs. So lots of different ways you can go about this. This one, though, is the quickest and most seamless without any coding. My name is Kevin Hood. Thank you for your time today. Hopefully you learned a little bit more about our data mesh capabilities in DreamFactory.